Oh man, what a song.
Oh, thanks. It's really fun watching someone else dig on it, you know?
Oh, it's like everything I love. You got Odd
Uh,
Times, you got some Alan Holdsworth, you got some UK, going on. There's Steve Morse going on, your own thing. I love you just have this sense of how to build up a song and you're so good at it. It's incredible.
ah, Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah. So tell us about
Appreciate that.
that song. It's what Viral Sensation is the name of it. Tell us what's going on.
Uh, well, on a technical level or
Everything. Yeah. We got a real
yeah,
nerdy audience.
yeah, well, the way I write is I just wait for something to happen. It's really hard to talk about process because it's not an intellectual pursuit at all for me. It's just a feeling. I think that song was all written all on keyboards. Um, and so I just go, I like this chord progression. I mean, it sounds really basic for me to say that. I'll just play something. Okay, I like that series of chords, and usually I'll map out sections at a time. So the whole thing at the end wasn't even invented until I sort of got there. Um, so what I'll do is I'll just play something on the keyboard, and then I go, I like that, to figure out what the timing is for it, and just work that section out. Um, then I go on to the next bit. Okay, well, I've got to go. Okay, I've got an A section. Okay, I want, a B section or whatever I want to call it, verse, chorus. I'm not even thinking of those terms. Then I'll just keep going incrementally until I end up with 3 or 4 minute. In this case, I think it's around 4 minutes or so. And okay, I think that's good enough. And then I start to flesh it out. So I will have essentially a click and then a keyboard playing all the way through. And then I say, okay, well, then I'll devise a melody. So I usually start with the chords and then the melody, or it's the melody and the chords at the same time. Like I'll sing something and play. And then at some point I'll go, okay, that here's a certain amount of time for a certain amount of bars for a solo. Uh, and I always make it like twice as long as I think it should be, because when it's just a keyboard and a click, it gets boring pretty fast. But I've learned that no, no, go longer than you think it should. And if you have to scale it back, you can always edit. Uh, and so in the case of this particular track, and kind of like a lot of the stuff, actually all the stuff, then I'll bring over guys to I'll bring over Tim. In the case, I brought Tim Lefebvre and Abe Laboriel Jr. to play to that. And then sometimes before they come over, I'll go, oh, I'm so inspired. I'm just gonna just do all my guitar stuff now, which I did. And I believe on this track, everything was done except bass and drums. And so the advantage for them is they get to hear everything.
Mm.
And you could definitely hear that Abe's picking up on stuff, phrasing in the solo and the keyboard solo that I did, picking up on that. And one thing that's really unique that that particular track is that it's in 5/4, but there's a section where I wanted Abe to play. We'd have to go back and listen to it. It's towards the end. It might be like 3/5 or something like that. And so the click track is going, but I want dun 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 dun. Maybe it's 4/5. That's maybe what it is. So I want you to. I want to do like it's a Ma Vishnu thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the song. Uh, uh, well, Lila's Dance does it. It kind of does like the dun da dun da dun da dun da
Oh
dun
yeah.
da dun da 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 dun dun dun. There's
Mm-hmm.
two Mahavishnu songs that do that. Um, I can't remember. There's an earlier one. I think it's on Birds of Fire. Yes, on Birds of Fire. I like that. I like rhythm. I like, odd meters, obviously, but I don't really ever think about meters when I'm writing. It's all about just the sound and the feeling of it. Like often, oh, I guess this is in 5. Oh, wow, this is in 7. Oh, wow, there's a bar 3 there. Only when I have to transcribe it for the other players, do I go, oh, wow, that's kind of wild. So I sort
Yeah.
of discover it myself, what it is. But it's never, like I said, it's never intellectual. It really is just listening. It's just going for stuff that I think sounds right, and that is obviously inspired by yeah, the people you said.
Oh
It's
yeah.
clear. One hopes that they have their own spin on it. Uh, that's for other people to decide. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
can't speak to
there's
that.
well, I have kind of a couple of uh, I don't know, responses to that. First of all,
Okay.
I never think about what it is. I'm just like, if I'm playing something, or you saw that ridiculous tapping thing that I did recently, that last music video.
Yes,
And
yes.
so I honestly didn't know what time signature it was until I had
Right.
the drummer here, and he was like, okay, so that's a 13 riff, right? And I'm like,
Yeah, I guess so.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So, and then
Yeah, right.
we're like, okay, so what can we do with it? And I'm like, okay, how about this? Da da da. And he's like, okay, on the what? And I'm like, I don't know, just da,
Right
da.
here.
Yeah, right.
Right here.
But then on the other hand, like, I feel like guilty about presenting some of this music to people when I ask them to play on it. But Morgan Ogren, I don't know if you've ever worked with
Oh
him.
gosh. Yeah, he's amazing. He's a genius.
You don't have to tell him a thing.
No.
It's just like what you said. He just feels it, and then
Yeah.
whatever comes out, I don't know if he's playing in the same time that I am on our songs, but what he does is just add so much musicality, not just through
Yeah.
rhythm, but like you said, Abe is picking up on stuff.
Oh
What's
yeah.
your experience like? Do you, when you're producing this music, are you making recommendations? Like, what's happening?
Well, I look at it like casting, like a good casting director will cast people that they just seem to embody what they're looking for without having to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned just through working with lots of musicians that I find that when I work with this person, I don't have to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
With Abe and Tim, those two guys together for me is for my music is is about as good as it gets. I mean, it's there's other flavors of greatness and the same level of greatness, but those two guys together, I never say a thing. So I never said anything to Abe other than there's this one section where it goes for the fast five. I'm hearing like a 4/5 where it straightens out. And that took a little bit of trial and error to kind of for him to feel it right because the click is still doing this.
Right.
He's got to go, okay, I got to divide five into I got four into five. If that's what it is, even
Yeah.
I don't even know. I can't remember what it was. But
Yep.
yeah, the best guys are like you said. They just get it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when people just get your music and they just get my music. And it's the most fun working with those kind of guys because they also elevate it. They also do stuff that surprise you, and go, oh shit, man, wow. So that's the beauty of it. I'm always feel like great players elevate your music to a level that you don't think that can be.
I
It's a
totally
wonderful
agree.
experience.
Totally agree. So I didn't even introduce you because I got so excited about this song.
Oh,
But
okay.
we've got we've got Lyle Workman here with us. This is Lyle's second appearance on the channel. We did a great long interview about his incredible CD, Unusual Measures. Is that right?
Sorry,
Uncommon Measure.
uncommon music.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
Just
it's all
escape
right.
it. I have the CD. I love it. It's an awesome album. And
Thank you.
if you're watching this interview and you don't know it, go listen to Uncommon Measures. An unbelievable album. And Lyle, you've released a number of albums since then, and there's a brand new one out that came out just last month. You want to share a little bit about? I think you told me last night you released 17 albums, maybe since Uncommon Measures.
Well, yeah, the story is I have um, an unusual library gig, as they would call it, writing music for a company. It's the Meta Corporation, and it's basically free music for people to use for their videos, whether it's their dogs, the cute pets playing together or products or whatever. It's just a service that Meta provides. But the thing that's been really nice, the program was started by people I've known basically since the 80s, since the mid to late 80s. They started the program, and the philosophy is you know, billions of users, so there's all kinds of people wanting all kinds of music. So it doesn't have to be, down, 1645. It doesn't have to be formula. It could just do your thing, and there'll be an audience for it.
Hmm.
And sure enough, this stuff is like it. I mean, literally, I think over one within a year, it's something like 15 billion views. Now they could be 5 or 10 seconds of this
Yeah.
music, but a lot of the music I write that I've written has been more like this record. Some of it's been very mellow, some's been acoustic, so in all kinds of genres. But this particular record was a selection of songs that were a little bit more, adventurous. And so as a result, I've been doing it for 8 years, and I've amassed something like 230 songs. So in 2020, they said if you want, you can put this music out on the streamers under your name, and uh, and by then I think in that year I released 17 records slash EPs of curated songs. So there's a whole lot of content. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
so if
uh,
you're
you
if you're
find
interested in Lyle Workman, there's a lot of Lyle Workman out on the
there's a
streaming
whole lot,
networks.
yeah, and
Yeah.
some of it's like I said, it's mellow, some of it's jazz, some of it's I did a set of orchestral pieces, a CD of orchestral pieces, some Latin jazz, some African influenced music. It's kind of all over the place, but it's all instrumental.
Yeah.
There might be a few things that have some vocal samples in it. So I did one thing that's it's all like atmosphere. It's kind of like ambient music. But it's been really fun, and I've been doing that along with composing and just session work um, as it comes in.
And this new album is called Fight for Freedom. I actually wanted to ask you about sort of the latter half of the first track called Truth and Beauty in the Deep Dark Night, because it
Yeah,
goes in a kind of unexpected direction. And, I get a lot of people asking, well, what is weird music? And I always think, well, my idea has changed over time. I used to think it was a marketing term, but now I think about it as I want to have artists that do take creative risks on the channel. And I think in this song you took a creative risk in the last half of it. So I'm gonna just play the last half so people can hear it, and then I'd love if you could talk us through what's going on.
sure.
So yeah, I'm listening to this song, I'm grooving, and then out of the blue, like that happens, and I was like, that is so cool. What? How do you get to that place? What's happening in that song, and tell us compositionally, like, how did you go from it was kind of like a straightforward jazz song with great soloing, and then this surprise of an ending.
Yeah, it's very common that I come up with something that I like the most in a lot of my songs, like 75% in. It's almost like a setup, like a warm up, and then I'll get to a play. Okay, well, and I think for that, it's like I need to end this. So, what do I do? Okay, and then really, it's just a feel thing. I put my fingers on my guitar, or again on the key, in this case the keyboard. I go, I like these chords, and oh, maybe I could change the rhythm up here, and then that'll. It's almost like another song in a way that
Mm-hmm.
happens a lot in my writing. I'm basically allowing myself the freedom to do whatever I want and whatever sounds good, without being restricted by structure. And yeah, I think I just was looking for a way to get to home base, or not to home base, but to get to the end, and just came up with a series of chords, and then I like these chords, and then I'll do like a unison melody with guitar and keyboards, and then a little tiny little 2 bar or 4 bar, whatever is at the end, just a mad flourish and end with a fireworks type ending.
Yeah, and when you're soloing, are you doing it in chunks, or are you just kind of like improvising? What's happening? Because I hear your solos, and they're just so like there's just so much going on. I just feel like it's all fireworks. I love it. It's beautiful and melodic. But one moment it's like frenetic, Steve Morse, that's kind of thing, and then an Alan Holdsworth thing, and then your own thing, and it just feels like, for me, when I'm thinking of soloing, it often comes out and I have to do multiple takes, and then I refine the pieces I like best. But I'd love to hear your take on how are you soloing through this stuff.
Well, I will just solo. It's I have a tendency to never consider um, the difficulty quotient
Mm,
of the chord changes. I'm not a seasoned jazz player. I mean, I'm like rock plus. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? That's how I would describe myself. I dipped my toe in jazz, and I took jazz improvisation in college, and listened to a lot more than I did. I was never a guy with the fake book, or the real book, if you want to call it that, and just practice through the standards. I was too like into the music of the day. For my age, it was all about the fusion stuff. As that's I didn't really care about the old fogey jazz.
mm-hmm.
Oh, for better or for worse. I wanted to spend my time listening to all that stuff we mentioned earlier. But coming from the rock background, that's what it was all about Hendrix and Johnny Winter and all that kind of stuff. And that to John Ackerman and Focus, and then John McLaughlin. So
Mm-hmm.
always with a bit of a
Yeah.
intensity to it. Um, So, I'll get to these sections. Okay, I got this chord section. I got to solo over it now. And a lot of times it's daunting. I'll just play the solo, and I'll keep going until I feel comfortable, and then I'll just go in and just fix stuff that, oh, I didn't quite hit the mark there, but I really liked what I did. I like the freedom of making a whole lot of mistakes, which I do.
Mm-hmm.
If I try to craft a solo, I don't think it's as good as just letting letting go, and just using my ear, and knowing what the chords are, of course, and okay, so that's B minor seven, sharp nine, whatever, and just go for it. And refining, then I'll go in and refine, but I don't do it in sections. I like to play the whole thing several times, and then go in and fix.
Yeah, I get so intimidated sometimes that I just avoid a song. I'll let it sit.
Right, right.
It's just like,
But those could be the best ones when you just put the work in, then you go, oh, I'm really glad I did that. It was hard, but I came up with something that I feel pretty good about.
what feels better to me? Making great friends who are good at improv, and I say, "Hey, I wrote this thing. Could you, you want to play a
Oh
solo
yeah.
on it?"
Oh well, I like that too. I mean, I love having other it's usually it's keyboard players
Right.
that I'll bring in, Jeff Babco or Chris Fishman or Larry Goldings, those kinds of guys. But it's always this set for this set of music on this record. I don't know, for some reason I just thought I would do it. Now for that it's a lot more punching in and little sections because I'm not a keyboard player.
Hmm.
I put my fingers around on the keyboard until it sounds good, but I'm not a educated keyboard player by any means. But it's my ear is what really leads the way, just from listening.
Well, I mean, you have such a great ear, and I really admire you and your music. When I listen to it, I just feel like you have no boundaries.
Well,
You
that's
can,
not true.
well, but you, through all of these albums, you say, "Oh, I'm not a jazz guy," but there's jazz, a rock
Yeah.
plus, but there's like it's really rock plus plus, I'm like rock
Oh, thanks.
minus. But no,
No,
I
no.
listen to your stuff and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, he's so diverse, so fluent, and your playing is fluid and you got just there's a lot going on." And I'm kind of curious, like you say you just kind of sit down at the keyboard and start. Um, but there's these albums are so diverse. Like this one, I know that you're collecting music and you're doing it for various purposes, but like this
Yeah.
album, what are you thinking? Is it you just say I need to write something like this, and then you go for a walk and get yourself in the mindset, or what are you doing?
Uh, I think for this group of song, I didn't even have that. I didn't even have a set idea of what kind of music I wanted to write. I
Mm.
just let it happen, because I find that the music's way more smarter than my intellect. Maybe not smarter, but it's more in tune.
Mm.
And so whatever is most inspiring to me at that moment is what comes out. And a lot of times that's the way I work. Unless there have been times, at least with this program, that they say, we could, how about doing some Latin jazz? How about doing something that's like African? How about in those cases, then I'm really honing in on that kind of stuff. But this record is really very much like my other solo records, I would say, my sort of proper quote unquote solo records, where I'm like allowing myself the freedom to do the stuff that I most like listening to myself, or as close to that. That's instrumental music.
So you've been on the road with Sarah McLachlan, and and then you did some recent shows with. Well, I'll let you share with Frank. I'd love to hear your story there because that was just so surprising to me, and I didn't know your history there, and I'm sure a lot of other people would love to hear that too.
Well, yeah, I've had kind of a very Zelig type career. That's Frank Black, aka Charles Black Francis from the Pixies. So, 30 years ago, I participated in a record of his that was called Teenager of the Year, and we just did a 30-year reunion tour of that record with the original band, plus an extra guy. And I was just really fond of his music, like the Pixies, and then his first solo record. I just thought was unique there was a certain intelligence to the writing that really spoke to me. And through a connection, I end up meeting him, and then next thing I know, I'm playing with him, and then for 5 years, we did a series of records and tours. So it was really fun to revisit that music. It's the record's called Teenager of the Year. And prior to that, I'd done another 30-year anniversary record tour with Sarah McLachlan, and it was a record called Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. Completely different music, uh, I had not played on that original record, but it was fun. So yeah, my career really it's like pop guy, uh, film composer, but I'm sort of a very interesting career because it's not any one thing. And that's my tastes have always been really varied into pop music and jazz and classical and uh, all kinds of things. I think most good musicians will tell you the same thing. If
Hmm.
it's good, it's good. I don't care what style it is. And I've been fortunate to um, have experiences with a lot of artists they're very diverse
Yeah.
from each
So
other.
what's uh what's happening for you with the rest of 2025?
It's kind of open right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's open, which is nice. I'll probably work on another record, or I'm thinking about doing more out playing out of my own music. Something I haven't done much of. I think that's probably the next thing I'll work on, unless a composing job comes in or something else that's going to take way too much of my time. Right now, what's taking a lot of my time is a puppy. My wife and I and my son just got it's a 5-month-old puppy right now. So
Oh.
it's a whole new world because last time I had a dog, I was a teenager. But as an adult, and I hadn't had a dog where I was kind of responsible in this way. So it's a whole lot of work, but we're enjoying it.
That's cool. We have a pet rabbit, and
Oh, that's cool.
I did not want a pet rabbit, and we didn't like want pets, period. We ended up with this rabbit,
Ah,
and I'm glad it's just a rabbit because I could not handle a dog. I don't know how you, with all of your work,
yeah,
oh, it's a lot of
yeah,
time and dedication for sure.
yeah. Well, the cliche, but it's worth it.
Yeah. All
I
right.
mean, I have a 22-year-old son, and then, but it's worth it. Is like the epitome of it. It's worth it.
Oh my goodness.
We just love this kid so much. He's such a good person, very talented artist. He's about to graduate from the Rhode Island School of Design. He's
Cool.
really talented, and more than that, he's just a great human being.
I interviewed Billy Sherwood yesterday,
Oh, awesome.
and the last song we played, I said, "Oh, can you just share your motivation for this song?" I think it was called "Make It Real" or "Keeping It Real" or something. And he said it's a song he wrote for his son, and it's a reminder for himself that the relationship he has with his son is what makes his life feel real, and it surfaces all of the real things in his life. And I listened to that song with totally different lens, and then at the end, like after the interview, I was literally bawling in tears because my son is graduating high school this year, and he's going to
Oh,
college in August. And yeah,
so
it's
you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about.
oh
It's
yeah.
it's the joy of joys. I was when my son was 2, I just started working with Sting.
Hmm.
And like my first gig was Live 8, which was at Hyde Park to, I don't know, 200,000 people. And
Wow.
it was us, it was Sting, it was Paul McCartney, it was Madonna, it was Pink Floyd, it was The Who. It was this incredible show. And I've got my wife and my son, they came out, and my wife and my son and myself were on the bed and we're playing with our son. And I looked at my wife, I said, I've worked all my life to be able to play with someone like Sting, who I've loved ever since The Police came out. But just playing with my 2-year-old, this is better.
Yeah, right.
Now this is more fulfilling. As
Hmm.
much as that is very fulfilling, this is really the best, as good as it gets. And so yeah, it's the ultimate journey, I think, as a human being, is having children. Even if it's just one. We just have one. Do you have one or do you have more?
I have three. He's my
Yeah,
oldest.
okay.
Yeah.
3 times the love, man.
Yeah, you don't think you have the capacity, but then you find out new things about yourself. It's wild.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you. All right, well
Yeah.
let's close on Long Journey Home. It's not a particularly weird song, but it is beautiful.
I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, and I think anyone who's gotten this far is just going to dig it. So here we go.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyle. It's great to talk to you again.
Thank you.
All
Same to
right, here
talk
we
to you.
go. What's that?
Straight up, man.
Oh yeah, and it's
That's yeah,
very Eddie Jobson too.
yeah. I think I stole that from. It was it on Apocalypse or Visions of Emerald. I think it's on Apocalypse. There's this beautiful. As man, that record just kills me. Um, yeah, it was like a minor 11th chord or something. It's just when I learned that voice, I'm like, okay, I got to use that, and I've used it. I've used a good portion of his stuff. And Todd Rundgren is another guy, man.
Oh my goodness,
I worked
yes.
I worked with Todd for about 3 years, two records and tours, and his whole chordal thing, man, it has really informed me. I've used if you listen to my stuff, you'll go, there's some Toddisms in there, but I just can't help it. We grab this stuff that we love, and just hopefully at the end of the day, it's not just you. Hopefully at the end of the day, there's a bit of you in there somehow, but that's for other people to decide. But I always know, like, okay, there's the Todd chord, oh, there's the John McLaughlin chord. And I think that's okay. I think
Oh,
that's all right.
totally.
I
We
think
did
everyone will tell you the same.
absolutely. We did a an interview with Todd about his album A Cappella,
Oh
and
my gosh. Yeah, we
right.
did some of that stuff live. Lost Horizon, we did. What else did we do from that record? I can't remember. I think, yeah, incredible, incredible.
What's the one that's like something bizarre?
Something bizarre.
The Miracle
Something
in
to
the
fall back on?
no,
Oh
no,
no.
that's a great song, but
Yeah, he played
Miracle
those
in the
well.
Bazaar. How he
Oh,
did
Miracle in the Bazaar. Yeah,
all of that with just his voice, just incredible.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's get back to the track.
Oh, all right. So
I just got to ask one last thing. Is that fretless or is that slide?
Slide,
Okay.
slide. So that's just me. All that's all me. And no one else on that song. Um, yeah, and that's a sample. That's a vocal sample.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of my writing is, is there's a kind of a pop element to it. It's not. It's I don't think it ever gets like crazy busy to where it's like, oh, where am I? I try to
Mm-hmm.
keep it pretty grounded because
Mm.
I think I don't like being so lost when I listen to music myself, because I don't come back to it. So I think it's just kind of in me to not go too far up my canal,
Yeah.
with just like it changes all the time. It's that one's one of the more simple tracks of it. Uh, but listening to it with you right now, I go, oh, I guess there could have been more activity there. It kind of goes a long ways before like someone comes to the forefront with a solo or melody. But maybe you should put a solo over this, Anthony. Come on, man.
Well,
I know you do something nice.
I love. How can you not love a 6/8 shuffle like that?
Oh, I
It's
know. Yeah.
oh, there's
Something
so
about
many.
threes and
Absolutely.
sixes and threes and six and mostly six and five is a big one for me. I mean, just ends up that way again. Not trying to do it. It just well, oh, okay, here's another one at five, or you know.
Right? Yeah. Well, I'm the same way. 5 and 9 are my two.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
nine.
three sets of three is a thing for me. But it's funny. I wrote a song, and I played it for my friend, and I said it's really straightforward. It's in 6/8, and I play it, and he's like, "Can you play that again?" And I'm like, da 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 da. Da. And he's like, "Are you sure that's 6/8?" And I'm like, "Wait, da 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 da. Is it 5 or 6?" And so then I
Sounds like
started playing.
five the way you say it.
Yeah, so then I realized it was in 5, but it felt like 6 because 5 is like so natural to me, and he's unable to follow, and 5 is just like the way I think. It's just as
Yeah,
natural as 4. But
yeah,
yeah, it's funny how you can make things sound and feel like they're not what they are too. Playing with
yeah.
rhythm and what's
Oh,
natural to you.
totally.
Yeah, yeah.
I listened to. I'm sure you did too. Listen to a huge portion of Frank Zappa music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the Black Page. The first time I heard that, I was like, I have to know what's going on there. But to me, like, a 5/2 sounds as natural as 6/2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's just easy. I mean, that sounds natural to me.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I did a tour with this the great drummer Toss Panos, and
Oh, he's great.
yeah, and so we there would be times like it was with a pop artist, this great singer songwriter named Jude Cole, and I'd do a solo, and and he would Dugga digga da boom, daka digga dagga da booga dagga da boom. And sometimes the singer would kind of what? Something because it's almost six. It's
Right.
almost six.
What are you guys doing back there?
Yeah, but like that. There's several sections in my instrumental music where there's groups of five. And I don't know. I just it sounds cool to me. It just
Totally
I don't know
agree.
why. It sounds
Totally
good. Those
agree.
odd groupings,
It really
and
does.
I love rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I had so much fun talking to you. I could keep going, but I want to keep
Yeah.
this video contained. Thank you so much
Okay,
for
sure.
for joining. It's great to see you, Lyle.
Anthony.
Hope you have a
Anthony,
great.
thank you so much. Honor's
Uh,
mine. Thank you,
of
buddy.
course. Have a great rest of your week. See ya.
You too.
All
Take
right.
care.